Hey y'all, I'm Carolina Tony. Thank you for stopping by my channel. Today we are back in Charleston, South Carolina, and we are what is known as White Point Gardens, better known as the Battery. There are a lot of things happen here, and we are going to walk around and talk about that, but right after this station identification. This was a site during the fire in Fort Sumter where some of the cannons actually fired from this spot out to Fort Sumter. And there is a mortar and a deck cannon. It's not real, it's made from concrete and steel. As you might recall, if you watch the news, there's been a whole lot of controversy about this place. The people having problems with statues that have been here for over 100 years. This particular statue here, it is dedicated to the defenders of Fort Moultrie, June the 28th, 1776. This was the War of our Independence from England. There is a beautiful gazebo or bandstand that sometimes during the summer evenings you can come out and listen to a string band play or a brass band play. So peaceful under these live oaks. Here are some of the coastal guns at White Point Gardens, or the Battery that looks out. And if you can see, in that direction is Fort Sumter. Here is a statue of William Moultrie, Revolutionary War hero. This is the monument that has caused so much controversy. As you can see, it's been cleaned off, but the paint is showing through. It's dedicated to the Confederate defenders of Charleston. One thing that's pretty interesting is there were 50 pirates that were tried, found guilty, and they hung right here in White Point Gardens. Edward Teach, known as Blackbeard the Pirate, he visited Charleston this same year. He took hostages, stole some ships and things. He moved on. But the famous pirate known as the Gentleman Pirate, Stede Bonnet, was captured and tried, and him and 50 of his crewmates were hung here at White Point Gardens. This is another example of Charleston ironwork here at the entrance of Larimore Park, right off of Meeting Street. This is definitely off the beaten path. It's behind a row of buildings, but this is the Charleston Judicial Center right over here. But apparently this is what is left of something that is no longer. And here is an iron gate to the basement of the Charleston Blake tenement, 4 Courthouse Square. More ironwork. This is the ironwork leading to the courtyard in front of Charleston's fireproof building. Was designed by Charleston-born architect Robert Mills. Nothing in it was built using combustible materials. Right outside of the fireproof building in this park. This is the first park in Charleston And of course, that's a Confederate monument. Here is a monument over here to Beauregard. Here is a statue in front of the fireproof building of George Washington. They say that George Washington toured the southern states in 1791. And here is a Confederate monument with some battles at the base of them: Sharpsburg, Seven Pines, and Secessionville. Secessionville happened right here in Charleston, in fact. In another video that I've done, I spoke about Andrew Jackson's mother, and perhaps he was born near Lancaster, where Andrew Jackson's father is buried. Here is a monument to the memory of Elizabeth Hutchinson Jackson, mother of Andrew Jackson, President of the U.S. 1829 to 1837, who gave her life in the cause of independence while nursing revolutionary soldiers in Charlestown, and is buried in Charleston, erected by the Rebecca Mott Chapter DAR. Now, all they know is she is buried somewhere near here. No one knows exactly for sure where her grave is. We are here at the corners of Meeting and Broad in downtown Charleston, South Carolina. This is known as the Four Corners of Law. Four Corners of Law meaning the Episcopal Church represents God's law. Over here, the federal courthouse representing the federal law. This corner, City Hall, representing the city law. This corner was once known as the provincial capital, is now the county courthouse. Here is another iron gate. This is at St. Michael's Episcopal Church. My wife actually has a pair of earrings fashioned after this gate. And of course, there's St. Michael's Church. We are here at Fort Moultrie, near Charleston, South Carolina, on Sullivan's Island. This is a very old fort. This very fort is where South Carolina got its name, the Palmetto State. But there's something else that I want to show you that is here at Fort Moultrie. The story about Seminole Chief Osceola. Osceola was born in 1806. His father was a British soldier. His mother was a Creek Indian. He was raised by his mother, and they moved to Florida. There he rose to become an influential leader of the Seminole Indian tribe. He was actually born near the Chattahoochee River in Alabama, but as I said, they moved as a young boy. He moved to Florida. Osceola achieved his notoriety by leading a group of native warriors fighting against the federal occupation during what was called the Second Seminole War. At St. Augustine in 1837, he ran into the army troops, and they deceptively used a flag of truce to capture him. Well, he was transferred here to Fort Moultrie for the remainder of his life. They try to say that they basically gave him the run of the fort, and he could go and come and do whatever he wanted here. But that wasn't the case. He was a prisoner. Anyway, he died of a throat infection, or so they say. And his body was laid to rest right here. Osceola, patriot and warrior, died at Fort Moultrie, January the 30th, 1838. Here's where the story gets even creepier. Osceola's body is buried here, but not his head. Okay, Here's where this story really gets weird. As I said, his body's here, but not his head. For some reason, they cut his head off to study it, perhaps. It was displayed in a museum until 1866, when presumably the museum caught fire, and they think the head burned up in the fire, but they don't know for sure. It is said that sometimes late at night, when the air is still and it's very quiet, that you will see Osceola walking around the grounds of Fort Moultrie looking for his head. Hey, it's just a story. Is it true? I don't know, but I'm not hanging around late tonight to find out. This is a 13-inch mortar. It was used by federal troops to bomb Fort Sumter when the Confederate soldiers took over. I hope you have enjoyed our trip to the interesting points here in Charleston, South Carolina. It's been really fun, and as you see from my shirt, it's wringing wet, really hot. And I'll tell you, Charleston is the hottest place on the face of this earth in July. Thank you for joining me. If you hadn't subscribed to my channel, be sure to go down below and do so. Be sure to give me a big old thumbs up if you enjoyed it. But for now, y'all have a good day.